Back at the start of 2023, we looked at the worst elements on each Cedar Point coaster. However, nearly all of Cedar Point's roller coasters are good in their own way, and each ride for the most part has a standout element. Here's the best element on each Cedar Point coaster, including the brand new for 2023 Wild Mouse. Gatekeeper is a fan-favorite coaster in the park, providing one of the best entrances out there. With its 6th inversion, actually decent airtime moment, and picturesque setting, it's hard to choose the best element. However, I chose the first drop of the coaster. In addition to the beachside setting, the hill is different in every seat. On the left front seat, you get flung over the drop, hanging riders for an extended period of time. For the most intense drop, sit in the right back, as it pushes you down, then under. On the left back, it's the fastest drop, and on the right front, it provides the most hang time and the best hang time in the park in my opinion. And the valley out of the drop isn't super intense, but intense enough where you can feel the G's in your legs. It's a significant first drop. The newest ride in the park is up next, and because most of the elements on Wild Mouse are similar to each other, it's hard to choose one, and every ride experience will be different. However, my favorite element is the small overbank turn, which RCDB dubs a horseshoe. This is when the train is spinning the most, as it's right after the switchbacks. Because of the sharp nature of the element, you won't be facing the same way throughout the entire moment. Facing up, you get great airtime. Facing down, you get thrown backward, and facing sideways is very disorienting. This is the element I was looking forward to the most and did not disappoint. However, the first drop is also very enjoyable, as dropping backward never gets old. Raptor has a lot of great elements. For a long time, my favorite element was the back row on the vertical loop, or 0G roll, as both of them provide some strong negatives on the apexes and strong positives in the valleys. However, a sustained element that provides fantastic force in every seat is the double helix finale. It's guaranteed to be smooth and is so sustained and intense that all of the force will go to your feet, to the point of numbness. It's a crazy feeling that lasts for what feels like forever. However, Raptor has a ton of great elements, so picking just one is difficult. Blue Streak is one of the forgotten rides at Cedar Point, tucked away down a midway that not a lot of people go on. Because of all the elements are airtime hills, it's hard to pick the best element. However, one airtime hill stands out for being the most aggressive on the ride. Right after the first drop, there is a harsh airtime hill that has classic wooden coaster rumble with a strong pop of negatives. It's not painful, but very aggressive and exciting, definitely better than any of the rougher and weaker moments of ejector on the ride. Valravn, I think, has a pretty obvious best element. Some people may say the last inversion because of the crazy hanging sensation, but nothing beats that big first drop. 90 degrees straight down from 230 feet in the air, while hanging for 4 seconds beforehand. In the front row, the view is one of the best in the park, overlooking the Midway and lake. In the back, you get pure floater bliss for a good 4 seconds before leveling out in a pretty forceful valley. Valravn isn't a coaster enthusiast favorite, but it's hard to beat such a forceful and intimidating drop. Iron Dragon really doesn't have a lot of unique elements. It's really just a couple small drops, turns, helixes, etc. There is only one element that really stands out to me, and that is the second drop after the lift hill. It's not steep, but it swings right first, then speeds up swinging left, and then reaches the max speed with a sharp swing to the right, which rises up over Dragster. It's a fun drop on a pure fun coaster. The swinging with increased speed on every turn mixed with a pretty scenic drop is always fun. You can't beat a suspended coaster. Rougarou's best element, believe it or not, is not an inversion, unexpected on an inversion-based ride. The smoothest element on the ride, in my opinion, is the sharp turn into the mid-course brake run. Out of the tight valley is a super fast transition, similar to those found on Maverick, with the added bonus of a small airtime pop. And with the ratcheting restraints, you can get some good air. Following is a super tight turn, providing the positives into a rapid transition up into the mid-course. This sequence is super enjoyable on a ride that's easily forgettable. Corkscrew is one of 2 major coasters in the park that I do not enjoy riding. It's not very fun and very uncomfortable, but still not as bad as a lot of people say. I still don't enjoy this element, but it's the best element on this bad ride. The airtime after the drop is so aggressive that it hurts with the hard restraints and seat back, but it's crazy how hard riders can be thrown up into the restraints in the front cars. Yes, it's uncomfortable in every seat, but the force is undeniable, making it the best element. Millennium Force is known around the world as being overrated, and while I agree that it isn't as good as it was voted, it's gotten so overrated that it's actually now underrated. Millennium Force is still a fantastic giga and one of the best rides in the park. My favorite element on this speed demon is the first drop. The cars are super open, so you can see everything. On the right of the skinny train is the park and Frontier Town, and on the left are the waters of Lake Erie. After the intimidating climb up, there stands the 300-foot tall drop, which is my favorite drop in the park. It feels like it lasts forever, with strong positives in the valley and some incredible floater in every row, especially the front and back cars. There are some enthusiasts who hate Magnum, and I understand why. I love Magnum in the back cars, but the aggressive and super bumpy elements aren't for the faint of heart. While most of the ejector hills can hurt, the best elements are the ones in the tunnels, specifically the last tunnel. This last tunnel has the least painful airtime moments on the ride in my opinion, and with the sound effects and super loud squealing of the train, it's an element that never gets old. Gemini, even with every element being carbon copies of the previous, is actually really easy to pick the best element for. It's the only element on the ride that is actually forceful in the airtime department. While every hill is pretty short, the head chopper hill is by far the most surprising. You cannot see the whole drop following, so it feels a lot larger than it actually is. Pair that with one of the scariest head choppers in the park, as you're being ejected out of your seat, and it is an intimidating moment. Similar to Corkscrew, there is almost nothing redeeming about Cedar Creek Mine Ride's bad experience. There is a single element that I can think of that isn't painful or boring. That element is the finale of the ride. Unlike Raptor's double helix, however, the only redeeming quality of this element is that it's smooth. It's not intense or that exciting, but is the smoothest and feels like the fastest part of the ride. It is the only element of Cedar Creek Mine Ride that I enjoy. We're at the final two rides of the video, and arguably the best two rides in the park. Maverick is, in my opinion, the most intense ride operating in the park right now. Maverick is insane, with rapid transitions galore, the strongest ejector moment in the park, and a powerful launch. The best moment, however, is one of the last on the ride. The iconic Stangle Dive actually goes downward on Maverick, causing the most aggressive whip in the whole park, paired with insane speed and a strong negative moment. It might be the best element in the whole park. Steel Vengeance is such a good ride that there were 3 different contenders for the best element of the ride, and I'll quickly dissect all 3. And no, the Outer Bank turn, believe it or not, was not one of them. The third inversion of the ride is the best inversion in the whole park. You absolutely haul through it, and it feels more like an airtime hill as the whole world spins around you. It is completely disorienting and extremely fun. My favorite element for the longest time up until 2022 was the twisted airtime hill in the second half of the ride. As you twist at the apex of one of the most sustained floater hills on the ride, you dive into the structure, making for a surprising head chopper. However, my new favorite moment on the ride is this extreme top hat. This is the most forceful airtime moment on the ride. It's sustained for a good 5 seconds while you're well over 100 feet in the air, with a descending lateral whip to the side. It's an aggressive element and the most powerful on the ride, therefore making it the best element on the best coaster in the park. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We have coaster stock content coming out very soon. Comment what you think the best element on Cedar Point's coasters are, and have a great rest of your day.